Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everybody. Let me get all my stuff situated here. Hello, hello. Looks like we are looking good here today. Yep, audio's good. All right. Happy Monday. Of course, the busiest day of the week, at least for me it is. And today, just like every Monday, super, super crazy. All right. Um, Super busy weekend. And it kind of rolls over to Monday. But we are here. We got a good one today. One of the most important parts of embroidery. I would say this is not really the entertaining part, right? Like overall, when you're doing hooping, that's kind of like production side. That's really the physical work, right? Even though embroidery, you don't really think about it as physical work or physical labor, but hooping, especially if we got those big orders, and we could turn into a robot, right? Because a lot of it is just repetitive movements that we're doing, right? So hooping, we got to make sure we are doing things correctly, because if not, right, if you have a crooked design, it's pretty much game over. Like there's no way, there's no cleanup, right? There's no cleanup that you can do if you have a crooked design. All right. And I know sometimes that could be the time consuming part is the everything else, right? Once you have the file digitized, once you have your machine, all the settings good to go, right? You're just pushing start. Once it's on the machine and you have faith that your machine is all good, right? Of course, every now and then we got to tend to the machine, but for the most part, really the physical labor in production is going back and forth, and the better we have a system, the better we kind of do our repetitive repetition work, right? The easier and the funner a job can get. And even though we might be running our machines, I usually don't run my machine, super fast, right? But let's say you do run it to its maximum speed. In reality, what's gonna really take the part that's really gonna be time consuming is your hooping portion. Like so the part that we're talking about today and today's episode, how to hoop like a master, or let me see. Let me get the proper name of Hoop Like a Pro, Mighty Hoops Masterclass Tutorial. All right. That's what it's all about. All right. Hooping like a master. And really, once you get to like a certain point, you're like on automatic mode. Okay. Once you're on automatic mode, and I think every job is different, right? For the most part, left chest logos, a lot of it is, it can be like the previous job, but if you change the size of the logo, if you change a different type of logo or different type of size of the logo, okay, we might have to readjust some of our numbers, especially on the Mighty Hoop. Okay. So let me just post something real quick. Um, put Ever Romero from San Diego. So if you want to type in where you're watching from, all right, bam, bam. All right, looks like we have a jam-packed house today. All right, so I am on the Pacific West Coast. So it's 5 o'clock here, fairly early. All right, got a super, super busy second half of the day. So right after here, finish up a couple projects that we got going on here. All right, Audrey, Aldale, New Jersey, Jose, Ontario, California. All right, so that's probably like 2 hours away from where I'm at. Barb, North Central Minnesota. Daisy, Georgia, in the house. Jan Jan, Andover, Minnesota. All right, Rob Jones, Rochester, New York. TMG in the house. Florida. Diana, Oklahoma, Debbie, Gallimore, Tennessee. All right, so we got the West, we got the Midwest, we got the East Coast, Niwi, Regina, Cameroon. All right, so we got Africa in the house. All right, so we international today. T-Towns, Toledo, Ohio, Catskills, New York in the house. Chris from Georgia, Five Kings, South Carolina. All right, we got everybody represented today. Mrs. Phenomenal Creations, number 13, New Jersey. We got Chino in the house, LC Thomas. All right. Crafty Puerto Rican, Maryland. All right. Nice to see everybody from all over. The reason why I like seeing everybody from all different locations because it's just like embroidery, right? Embroidery is worldwide. Um, but everybody has like their hometown, right? Like their mascots, their football teams, their basketball teams, their high school teams. Um, so I know when we walk around here in San Diego, it's 100% SD Padres, right? You see Padres everywhere. There's no football team, there's no basketball team here, so it's all baseball. But you see the fitted, right? And then I think some of the colors, I look at some of the different colors, like especially when you see like colleges and it kind of like gives you ideas of certain projects that you might have, right? Not necessarily doing the exact thing that you see, but sometimes you might want to try certain garments or certain looks with things that you're currently working on, right? So I think when you're all around, I know when you're in different cities, you kind of see different logos, different hats. All right. All right. Sylvia, Texas in the house, of course. We always got Texas self-made. Houston. All right. Bam, bam. All right. We'll talk about some of this right here. Self-made. Can I use 2.0 tearaway on a, oops, sorry about that, on a 7.5 ounce heavy duty t-shirt? So you're talking about light on a 7.5. All right. Actually, we'll start with this. This is a good one to start it up with. All right. All right. So first, let's talk about tearaway, right? Just to kind of warm up today's lesson. Um, tearaway really, um, I would say tearaway is used for items that are is not going to get laundered. Um, either two things: either they're not going to get laundered or put in the laundry, especially the dryer, because the dryer is the thing that kind of pulls um, that cotton. Like if you're working with cotton and you dry your clothes, right, it's gonna shrink it a tad bit. Not like I'm not gonna say that it's gonna shrink it all the way, but it's gonna shrink it just a tad bit, and that's where puckering happens. So a lot of times that cutaway, when you use cutaway, it holds that portion of the garment firm, right? That's why it's always suggested anything that's stretchy or anything that you're going to put in the laundry, especially if it's cotton, you want to use cutaway. Tearaway is more for stuff like hats, right? Hats or something that's real strong, that's not going to stretch too much. Then you want to use tearaway. I wouldn't use tearaway on a t-shirt, even though it's labeled as a heavy duty t-shirt. Um, and then there's like a lot of variables, right? With a question like this, right? Because we also want to know how big is the design. Is the design like a little small one, like this polo shirt, like this polo logo, or is it a big one, right, with a lot of details and a lot of stuff like that? See, something like this, where some of these brands, right, some of these brands they use very tiny logos. They can get away with using tearaway, okay, but sometimes if you're gonna have something bigger, you might not want to. So as the main answer, I would say no, you can't. But there's always exceptions, such as if it's smaller, the design, or if it's something that's not going to be laundered too much. All right. Then you're saying, oh, okay. Then So I got amplifying information here. Across the chest, right? Big, 45,000 stitches. All right. So I would say no. You could always try it out, but most likely, um, that as soon as you tear off the tearaway, it's gonna kind of like pucker in. Then if you wash it and dry it, it might get a little crazy. All right. Appreciate the question. One thing that I was thinking about today. Okay. Um, I know me, I love YouTube. Okay, I love YouTube. I see a lot of YouTube, not just embroidery. Really, I don't see too much embroidery YouTube. I'm more like graphic design world on the YouTube side. I like a lot of the business side. I like a lot of speeches, like business speeches. That's where I watch a lot of my YouTubes. And there was this topic where a YouTuber was getting burned out. Okay, um, actually, you see it a lot right now, right? There's like a topic on YouTube where a lot of the YouTubers are getting burned out. And I was thinking about it, right? Because I see it, even the people that I follow on YouTube. And one thing that I think that has hold me down, all right, this is my fourth year on YouTube. Every Monday, like I get pumped up. Like it's like game day for me. It brings me back to my high school days when I was playing soccer and it was game day, right? And I was like super pumped up. Um, Super excited because back then I would practice, right? And when you're in high school, you do a lot of practicing. So in game day, all those nerves, right? You're not nervous because you can't perform. You're nervous because you're ready to go. Same thing here, right? Game day, practicing, like forever, right? Doing embroidery. So I'm excited to present information. But what I was thinking about of the burnout, right? A big reason why I feel what has helped me, and I do want to thank everybody that's here today on the live. A big thing that pumps me up is the chat, right? The chat room, the energy that you get, that the audience gives back. Okay, just believe it that that energy is well received. Okay, so I do appreciate everybody that's in the chat, everybody that has uh, like other information they want to share, right? Because not only I learn, but the group and the chat learns also. So I do appreciate, right, the embroidery community for coming out, not only today but every Monday, and giving us your opinions and your expertise. Okay, because everybody here specializes in something different. Even though we might be doing similar projects and we have a lot of similar software, similar machines, a lot of us do different projects and we specialize in different specialties. All right. But so by you sharing a lot of this information, I do appreciate that. And I do appreciate questions. Okay. Because sometimes I'm so focused into the information that I'm not thinking about questions that may be coming up. All right. So by you giving more information and questions, all right, it just kind of pumps up the class even more. All right. Um, so that was just a little side note. Okay. I did want to give a thanks to everybody that's here. All right. And if you're watching us on the replay, you can always ask questions, and I try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Here in YouTube is the best way to ask questions. All right. And that way, if somebody sees your question, they can learn from that question also. All right. All right. Bam, bam. Um, all right. Let's get this party started today. All right. Let me see. I got my camera here. Let me see if my camera's good to go. Bam. All right. So just to give you a heads up, like here, I have all my things laid out that I want to present to you today. Hopefully, I can get to as much as possible. But you already know with embroidery, there's a lot of accessories. There's a lot of things that'll help you uh, create certain projects. Okay. And what I don't want, what I'm aiming for today, okay, um, I don't want today to seem like a commercial, right? Like a commercial for Mighty Hoops or anything like that. And one thing that I've always said on this channel was any information that I present to you, okay, because trust me, like every week we get hit up by different companies that want us to promote certain products. Some products don't even make sense, right? Some products is like it has nothing to do with embroidery, and we're like, hey, like this makes no sense to try to present this to an audience of embroidery, right? There's other companies that are embroidery, but we've never used it, we've never tested it. So the last thing I want to do is push something that I have no idea if it works or not, right? It makes no sense. Okay. Um, so anything that we showcase here, okay, is just something that I've used, um, and I would use it regardless whether we're working with the company or not. All right. So um, today I'm gonna kind of show you stuff that we use with the Mighty Hoops. Okay. Um, and I want to go into the details, stuff that you really don't see this type of information because it's stuff that you only see like if you're doing certain projects. All right, so bam, let's do that right here. All right, I'll get to all the questions as soon as we take a little breather. All right. Hey Sadar, how you doing? Nashville, Tennessee, in the house. All right, and then T-Town. I'm a pro at window tinting, but also embroidery. But now we do more in tinting. All right. So yeah, that's one thing about the embroidery world is we have so many skills outside of embroidery, right? But I think a lot of our skills, whatever we specialize in, that comes to our advantage because that niche or that industry that you specialize in, right? You can do embroidery for that industry also, right? All right. So today we're gonna talk about hooping like a pro. Okay. And we're gonna give a full details about these tools that we use. All right. I do have a couple questions for y'all. All right. Let me type in some of these questions for you. All right. I'm curious to know. All right. I'm curious to know. I'm pretty sure a good percentage of everybody here in the chat owns a Hoopmaster, a Mighty Hoop, right? Whether it's one or numerous. Okay, but I do have a question. With the exception of the 5.5 hoop, okay, with the exception of the 5.5, because that's usually 99% of everybody's favorite one. With the exception of the 5.5 Mighty Hoop, what is your favorite Mighty Hoop? So let me write that down. What is your favorite Mighty Hoop size? And then in parentheses, except 5.5. All right. And then I'll tell you what's my favorite. I have like three favorites. What is your favorite Mighty Hoop size? Bang. All right. We'll look at it like towards the end part. All right. All right. All right. I don't even think I've seen this one. 8x1. All right. And then I do have the Mighty Hoop. All right. Let me just put this little plug in real quick. I do have the Mighty Hoop, the link. So if you want to follow along today, because sometimes I'm going to be talking about certain accessories or certain items. Um, if you want to follow along on their website, I have it on my on the description. Okay, that way you could kind of see what I'm talking about. I'm bringing out everything here, bringing out all the accessories out today. Um, that way you could follow along. You could also see, you could match your machine because it has like a list of all the machines that are out there, and you could see if the machine you have is compatible or it has the certain Mighty Hoop that we have today. All right. Um, so we have the free shipping on the Mighty Hoop on the Mighty Hoops. I have the link in the description. All right. Promo code Romero. All right. And then we have the candle thread here. Right. Super nice thread here. And then behind me, like, let me see if I could point at it right here. You kind of see like the color chart. All right. They have a ton of colors. Super nice, shiny excellent colors that we have here. Okay. Um, so check that out. All right, bam, bam. And then like in a couple minutes, I'll tell you what's my favorite hoop that I have. All right, let's get started. Hopefully, I think my internet's good. I was like troubleshooting this past hour, but I think we're good now. Um, then we got this one right here. Tell us more about how you store your mighty hoops. All right. Yeah, this is the main. This is like the main one here. But my 5.5s. The thing about 5.5s, they're so easy to store because they're like smaller. These you gotta be more control. You gotta control the big ones a little bit more. The smaller ones, it's a little easier because I can have them close to the machine. But uh, I might show you. I haven't showed like the machines where we have all the hats and the machines. I'll make some videos on that, but I will get you that information. All right. And then the threads, these are candle threads. I have the link in the description. So check that out right there. All right. They got a ton of colors. All right, cool. So let's get started today. It's all about today is all about hooping. And one thing about hoops, okay, one thing when we're talking about hoops, we're trying to save and be as efficient as possible. That's the name of the game today, okay? Being efficient. Now, I know there are people that have been in the game for like 25 years. They don't need mighty hoops, right? They use the they use the hoops that came with the machine. That's all good, right? That's all good. Like last week, I was telling the story how I came about mighty hoops, right? Working on that diaper bag, almost busted my hands, almost broke a finger, right? Once you get used to mighty hoops, it's hard going back. Okay, it's hard going back. Um, yeah, it makes it so much easier, right? Once you got it, once you're working with it, um, and then I'm gonna show you all the little small details of course, why I don't go back to the regular hoops. All right. So let's go. This is right next. Wait, let me show it right. So, yeah. So this stand right here is literally right here, right next to me. All right. Then just real quick, bar. I have my mighty hoops on a pegboard. I purchased the bike type pegboard. All right. Oh, for the stations. Yep. That's actually a pretty good idea. That's pretty good idea. I do want to remake. I want to remake my the bottom stairs where I have all the production and everything. And I do want to. I've been in and out of IKEA trying to find ideas to make like the ultimate storage shelf space. Like I'm in the hunt for that, right? But it takes time to do all that. It's like remodeling a living room right there. All right, let's go. All right, let's talk about some of these, right? Um, just real quick, I'm gonna get into the details. This is the infant station here. All right. I do have a couple new projects with the infant, so look out for some videos using the infant one. All right. This one here. Yep. We'll talk about this one here. This is the freestyle arm. All right. You can see how long it is. I'm gonna show you why I like this one so much. All right. But of course, let's start with the bread and butter. Okay. You already know the bread and butter. All right. This is the one that we use day in, day out. Okay. I just put tape right here because I've written like notes and everything here, and I just use it to kind of cover it up. All right, but let me see. Let's fix this up a bit. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me fix this lighting. All right, we might have to lift this up. Bang. All right, I think we're good. You got like a bird's eye view right here. Let me see. All right, so as you can see, super, super tough, right? That what makes these so great. And usually, if you get usually everybody starts with the starter kit, right? It's like the freestyle set right here, right? We got the freestyle set right here. Okay, this is what kind of makes the Mighty Hoop so great right here, right? It's these clicks, these magnets that stick the cutaway, right? But once we got that, okay, we could put this to the side and all right. So just moving this to the side real quick. All right, really, like I get messages when someone will ask me, "Hey, what number should I use for a size large or for certain brands?" Right? Everybody has their own like go-to numbers, okay? Because everybody pulls their polo shirts different, okay? I've always said like these numbers here, 28, 23, 18, or 28. Let me see if you can, yeah, you can see it. 28, 23, 19. Like these areas here, that's like our sweet spot right here. So let me see 23 right here. Okay. And here you can see how your center, you're always chasing your center point right here. Okay. You're always chasing center point. Just find my, hold on. Let me run downstairs. Let me grab this 5.5 real quick. All right. Sorry about that. All right. All right. So we're always chasing that center line. Now, sometimes you're not always going to perfectly center like at a 100% center. All right. Because from these, right, these holes right here, right, by the time you move it to the next one, you got a certain amount of like millimeters that you just moved it a bit. Okay. But that's why this size is so perfect, 5.5, because really your logos are going to fit in this area right here. All right. So let me see if I got some of these. Okay. Of course, I always use like my little shapes right here. All right. So I got like my shapes right here that I like to use. Right. So let's say the closest to the center was like here, right? You're still good because the design fits within the hoop. Okay, this is a pretty big one, 3.5 by 2.5. You can kind of see it right there. All right. But the goal in step number 1 is you want to chase the center. Okay. If it's a little off, like right here, you're still good because it fits the hoop. Now, if it's a lot off, let's say it's like right here, right? Then you're totally off. It's not going to make sense, right? Instead of getting it so close, this is when you start moving your hoop to start getting it towards the center, right? So the step number one is always center your hoops, right? Or your design. Center it as close as possible. Okay, this 5.5 pretty much covers most common logos. Okay, your left chest logos definitely, right? Sweet spot is like a 4x4. Anything bigger than that is starting to look real big on a polo shirt. All right. All right. Now, let me see this. Okay. And when we're talking about hooping, we want to make life as easy as possible. Okay. So, of course, we're going to start off with our cutaway. Okay. So, of course, you already know we used the Pro Stitch with like the stretchy type material. All right, let me see if I can get a good close up. Like you could see the net. Let me see if you could see it. I don't know if you could see the net of this. It's like a little grid. All right. Bang. All right, I think we got a good view here. So these size, for this hoop, for the 5.5, you want to get the 8x8 pre-cuts. Of course, if you get the big rolls, you could cut them on your own. For us, it's easier just for them to come already pre-cut. All right. And this is where these magnets, right? Where these magnets. So far, it's like a little bit of thinking so far, okay? Anytime we're doing repetitive work, we want to do the least amount of thinking as possible, okay? We are going to do some thinking, right? Because there's no way around it. But you want to minimize the amount of thinking anytime we're going to do something repetitive over and over and over and over. So that way we could go on autopilot and complete these projects, right? But if you're doing everything kind of, if you're doing everything where you have to restart the process over and over, that's where it becomes time consuming. Okay, here, let me see what size this is. Large. Okay, so when we hoop it 23, I think that's the. All right, what I like to do, I like to bun it up here. All right, that's just so it could be tight up here on the top. All right, and everybody pulls their polo shirts different, right? So that's why a lot of times you can't always go with the same number that somebody else is going with, because you might be pulling it, conservative, while somebody else is pulling it all the way down, right? But for the most part, you want to use these shoulders as your guide. And with time, right, if you really want to be sure, you could button all buttons. That way your placard here is nice and straight. Okay, this might be overkill. All right, this might be overkill, but sometimes you want to get this placard straight, right? So with time, you build that sense, like that sixth sense where you just pull it and you know you're good. Okay, depending where you put your center, okay, depending where you put that center, that's where your hoop is going to be centered at. Now, let me show you some right here. All right, let me show you some right. Okay, now that's always a big question, right? Where to put that center line. So really the second part of hooping, getting that perfect hoop, is finding your center point of your design. And there are products to help you center your design. Okay, so you've seen the videos that I've had where the embroidery helper that we use. Um, I didn't bring one right now, but right, the tool. But the main thing, there is no tool that's going to tell you 100% sure where to center your design, because a lot of it deals with the size and the shape of your design. Okay, something that's very narrow. Okay, let me show you right here. Something that's very narrow, right? Something like this, okay, is going to have a different center than something that's smaller, right? Because now you're a distance away from here. Sometimes they might be the same. All right. The best thing to do always, anytime we're hesitant about where to place something, okay, we always print out the design. We like print it out in a box. We'll put a box around it, kind of tape it onto the garment and wear it, right? If it's like close to your size, just fit it on, especially if it's a new type of garment that you're working with. You want to get a feel. Are we going closer to the placard, right? This is the placard, the center part. Okay. It's always this part. All right. This is the base. The bottom of the placard is our base. Right? You definitely don't want to be like out of bounds, right? Somewhere down here when your base is right here. You're trying to follow that base. Okay. Usually polo shirt companies, they're following this button. Right? You kind of see it's kind of following this button here. But for the most part, the perfect placement for your logo is whatever your customer says, right? Because there are some customers, you might find the perfect location, but they want it a little closer to the placard. So always run through, always get confirmation exactly where this perfect center point is going to be. And then once you have it, then you got to document it, okay? Because let's say they order more shirts 6 months, maybe 2 years later, they order shirts, right? If you have it down on a note, hey, we went this much off the x-axis, this much off the y-axis, then you could kind of revert back to that information. Okay. Usually, I know from the center out, okay, to find this center point, usually anywhere between like four inches on the minimum side, all the way to like 5.5 inches on the long side. Okay, on the x-axis, and then the y. Okay, you'll see a lot of times they say 7 to 9 inches. Usually that's can be long, but for the most part, okay, it's wherever the placard is telling you where to go. You're following the placard. The safe number, you always hear that 7 to 9 inches. That's like the safe number, but in reality, it's where this, right? It's where like that muscle part, the meat of your chest. That's really the sweet spot right there. Okay. Because here Polo, it's a small logo, so they got a little bit more room to work with, right? But if I was to center it, I would go right here, right? So with time, you could kind of have a sense, like you're gonna get that sixth sense where you could kind of eyeball it and know where to go. But for the safe side, X, your X line, so your horizontal, 4 to 5.5, or um, 4 to 5 inches, right? And then 7 to 9, right? For those who want numbers, but really it's more like eyeballing it and getting a sense of your placard. Okay. Okay, so what we just use the water soluble pin. Okay, we just use the water soluble pin, put a little dot. When we were starting, and for those who are starting too, sometimes you want to put an X so you can make sure you're straight horizontal. Okay, and then this is a big one right here. All right, the bigger the shirt, the bigger the problem. Because there's some sizes it don't you can't even try it on because it's too big, right? Or if you're a female and you gotta do a double XL men's shirt, it's not gonna make sense to wear it, right? Because it's gonna be like super big. Um, so proportionally, right? Proportionally, what we like to do, we'll do it on a regular large or a size that we're familiar with, okay, and then use that and increase it proportionally. So depending on where it is, a lot of times you can tell by the corner of your collar where you're gonna go, right? Like the collar is pointing, you can bring it down here, okay? And then there is the larger size board. So this one here is the regular board. There's a bigger board, okay? There's a bigger one for those bigger shirts. And let me show you this here, what we use, okay? So bam, right here. All right. Let's say you weren't centered. This is when you start changing it. But for the most part, this is like this is the brand that we use like forever. I'll show you what it is. But if you ever have to adjust, you could just adjust it up here. All right. So of course, Port Authority. Okay. This is the K455 from Sanmar. Okay. If you need to extend it, right? Of course, we have this super useful. This is we usually have this attached to it like 99% of the time. Okay. So now this is the same size as the XL. Okay. I think it goes out 19 inches. All right. So now we expand it, and the reason why we use it. Okay. Of course, we could put. You could still hoop it just the way we had it before. All right. Still fits in the holes. All right. But the reason why we like it for most of our men's shirts, because when you bring it down, okay, look at that. You don't even have to fight with it. It's already lined up, and you see more of the line all the way to the shoulder. Right. So you just bring it down, and then we bring down this plastic one, this plastic piece right here. It's flexible, right? Of course, you're not going to push it all the way down, but you can kind of have an idea, right? You can line it up with the buttons. You can see that everything's parallel. That's why I like to button up these. Okay. All right. I didn't put a dot or anything, so I'm not seeing if it's centered, but what I like to do, okay. Um, I know sometimes people are scared to like snap it because they like, I don't know, they don't like the sound, right? Or they're anticipating the sound. Okay. I like to just give it one good push. That way nothing is moving before like this part of the bottom isn't pulling before the top part. That's why when I push it down, I don't hesitate because if I hesitate, this part, this bottom part is gonna pull like a hair of a second. All right. It might not be anything, but right, straight, just like that. Right. Now I know I'm good in there. Right. Push this down a bit. Also, what I like to do, now I unbutton this button here. Right. That way, when I put it in the machine, it's easier to bring in my through my neck. Right, bang. All right, push it down. All right, now the part about this is a big reason why I like using the mighty hoops. Okay, it's just right. We can literally play some music the way it's like perfectly taut. Right, you would think that this was like scientifically pooled, but this is just its natural magnet pooled. Right. When we're dealing with the other hoops, you kind of got to find like the sweet spot with the screws, right? Right here, there's no thinking. There's no thinking. We're thinking on the important stuff, like where we're going to center our design. Right? That's the part, that's the thinking part. Everything else, we don't have to think about. We don't have to think about our cutaway, shifting, moving. We don't have to think about setting the tension of our hoop, right? That used to give me a headache trying to set the screws on these hoops, all right? Now, take this off here. Let's say you don't have this hoop station, right? Let's say, or you don't have access to it at that certain moment, right? Of course, there's so many accessories, little items that just help you in certain scenarios, right? Let's say you don't have the hoop station for the magnet. Of course, we have these rings here, right? Actually, this one here is for my smaller hoop. Okay, there's actually a smaller hoop than the 5.5. Let's see if I got it here. Yep. All right. Yeah, right here. Let me zoom in right here. All right. Sorry about that. Zoom in a tiny bit. All right. Fix this camera. All right. All right. We got a good view right here. All right. So let's say we don't have those magnets. We're kind of in a pinch. Right. And I know some people, they're like quick with these, right? I'm usually on left chest polos, but this also keeps it in line, right? So let's say we're doing a shirt, or not a shirt, a towel. Make sure I'm good right there. I got the camera right under me, so I'm not lining it up like 100%. Okay, but usually I'll hoop with a grid like this right below me, just to make sure I'm kind of like as straight as possible when I'm doing stuff. I keep these hoops kind of like straight, right? As much as you can. Sorry about that. Hold on. My battery died. Give me 1 sec. Hold on. Change that. All right. Change this battery real quick. Oh. All right. Sorry about that. Battery. Quick battery change. Get to some questions right now. And oh, and then The extender is great for large hoodies. Yep, hoodies. It's like a big one here. I know at the Impressions show in Long Beach a couple months ago or weeks ago, hoodies was like the big thing, right? It's like sweaters is big, big, big. I know next year or this upcoming holiday season, all right, you gotta look out for hoodies because there's gonna be some real good stuff. I can just imagine like the cool designs that's gonna come out of that. All right, love that snap. Yep, I make sure when I'm embroidering, you don't want no hesitation. You want that snap, right? The first time you're doing it, you're like all, you're doing it all scared. All right, just snap right there. All right. All right. Of course, needles, always a big one. What needles do you recommend for hats? I do a lot of puff, so I use 80, 12, titanium, sharp. So either the RS, the RS, but a lot of times we use RG. But any of the Groz Beckerts, um, sharps, RS is mostly what we use. Um, all right, cool. I think we're good. Questions? And then Barb, I have crosshair small stickers for light items. Taylor's chalk for dark items. Plus, I always print the design and use the tool ruler. Yep, that's always good practice to print the design. All right, cool. All right, let me plug this computer this thing back up. Give me 1 sec. Let's see. All right, give me 1 sec. Let me put this up here. And then let me see. I'm trying to get into the sweaters too, so I do want to show you a couple tricks that I got for sweaters. I think anytime we're dealing with production, you want as much of an advantage, right? You want but of course you can't buy everything. Okay, you cannot have everything. Uh, First of all, it's going to be too expensive to buy everything, so you got to learn to work with what you got. Okay, and you just don't have enough space to have everything. All right, so I'm going to kind of show you how I go about getting around certain things. All right, let me see if it came back up. All right, bam, back in action. All right, sorry about that. And then I definitely agree with Diana. Hoodies offer lots of room for creativity. Definitely. And then stabilizers on a book bag. All right. I actually have a book bag here. I have like a little tote bag. I'm gonna show you guys. We'll talk about that one there. It's like every answer is always like it depends, right? But I do want to show you like actual scenarios. All right, back to where we were at when I was putting this part. Right? There's certain scenarios. Okay, I know for us, usually polo shirts, we're just putting it on, you know, like when you have the accessories, you don't need too much of these here, but let's say you do, you're kind of like in a pinch, right? Of course, just put it, bam, snaps, right? You're back in action. Then you take it off, then it comes off, right? You see this a lot of times in certain shops when they're not using. Some people don't need the stations, okay? Or maybe somebody else is using the station and you don't have access to the station, then as long as you could your eyesight is straight, okay, a lot of times you could just use this, right? So it's holding, the main thing is for the stabilizer to be in place. So this kind of keeps everything intact, making sure nothing shifts, all right? You just got to make sure your garment is straight and everything is nice and flat, okay? All right, let me see. Zoom out a bit. Bring this up a bit. All right. Now let's talk about book bags, or I actually have a tote bag. I have a tote bag right here. So this one here, the normal Mighty Hoop, this is always the starter one, right? This is the one that everybody starts with. All right, so this one here, this is the one that everybody starts with. This is our method of doing polo shirts, all right? So the extender here, just to open up the sleeves a bit, right? So it's easier to slide through, see it. Of course, you have this part of the accessories with the 5.5. 5.5 is good because you could kind of move your design, you know, you could shift it a tad bit if you have to, but after a while, you kind of memorize your numbers and you kind of know what has to be at. All right. All right. Let me show you some other cool stuff. All right. And then this one here, this is part of the starter kit too. This part of the starter kit. Bam. Hold on, let me fix the camera. Let's see. All right, bam, we're good now. Yep. Let me see. Try to get you a good angle right here. All right, so this one, right, you have like the freestyle portion. Right, you got that part, bam. All right, you can do a lot of cool stuff with this one too, right? Because a lot of times you just have miscellaneous stuff, right? Of course, towels is always like a miscellaneous thing that we're hooping, right? You could, there's like a lot of guides here. Like you see these numbers here, right? There's a lot of guides that you could use to straighten up your garment, because sometimes you don't know if this is straight, but you could just use the guides that are here, right? And then they're measured in inches from the center line, right? So it makes it easy if you're trying to pinpoint something. But for the most part, right, step number one is always finding your center point. So depending where your center point's at, okay, depending where your center point's at. All right. With towels, you could see like it's not very stretchy. So in certain situations, you could use tearaway with this one, right? It's usually a debate. I've seen people debate whether they use cutaway or tearaway with towels, all right? In the chat, if you want to share, do you use cutaway or do you use tearaway with towels? Okay, I've done both, and it's both is safe. Like tearaway is safe, um, cutaway, right? Of course, people don't want cutaway because you know it's a little bit more thicker in certain parts. All right. Um, Let me see. There's other cutaways. All right. There's the one that's just without the grid. So the regular for AllStitch is the C030, right? You see like this one. It's a little softer a little smoother. So usually when you're using the thicker, right? And 030, that's just the weight. Like a lot of items. When we're dealing with cutaway, they usually come in 1.5, so it'd be half of this weight. It comes 2 ounces, 3 ounces, and then if you put two, now you have 6 ounces, right? Usually for polo shirts, I know for polo shirts, the common practice, 2 pieces of cutaway. For sweaters, I like to use one 3 ounce cutaway. All right. Actually, for the Pro Performance, the ones that I showed you earlier, this one's a 2 ounce. So if we use two, we're using 4 ounces, right? For the sweaters, for the most part, uh, 3 ounce. Okay. And of course, every design is different. Okay. And the way you laundry your items can play a role. If you're gonna put it heavy dryer, you might want to put 2 pieces. Okay. Now, cool thing about this, right? Let's say you want, let's say we want to use a different hoop. Okay. Let's say we want to use this smaller one, right? It's not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work with this arm right here, right? This is only for the 5.5, and they make them for specific sizes, right? They have like the 7, the 10, right? For specific ones. But let's say you want one so it could fit all your mighty hoops, right? And that's in that situation, of course, we got the big guns right here, right? Let's oh, it's like a puzzle piece right here, right? All right. Now check this out. All right. Right. So we could adjust it. Oops. Out of frame. All right. Now look at that. Right. So this one here pretty much covers all ground right here. Right. If we're dealing with hooping, right, there's no excuses after this one here. Like you're pretty much covered on all ends right here. So the cool thing about this one here, this one is locked on here. So this one, right? This one is not adjustable. It's pretty much locked on here. This is the part that's adjustable. Then you can see it has the magnet for this, okay? But what I like to use it for, this used to be my second favorite hoop, right? Or my first favorite after the 5.5, but I got a new one that I'm going to tell you guys. That was like the question of the day today was, besides the 5.5, what is your favorite hoop, right? This used to be mine because for a good time I was doing backpacks, like a lot of backpacks. So this is the one that I was using. All right. So here I just locked on this part here, so it's not going anywhere, right? So you lock it down with these screws here in the back, where you could just hand tight it, right? And then you could take this back here. This one here is Port Authority, right? Of course, step number one would be like find your Find your center point of your design. Okay. Let's say we had a real easy design like this. Right? We could just find the center point. Whether we're going to measure it or you could just eyeball it. After a while, you just start eyeballing stuff. Right? Unless you got like that super VIP customer that you're like super nervous about, then you might like, measure everything out just to make sure you got the center point. But for the most part, either fold it in half, you eyeball it, right? I actually still measure most of all my stuff because I just want to be 100% sure. So I'm usually measuring stuff. I'm looking from left to right, from top to bottom, or depending where they want it, right? Of course, the customer is always going to choose where they want to center their items, right? Because this might be the correct answer, right? Like center it like within this box right here. This might be the correct answer, but your customer, he wants it right here. So it's always wherever your customer wants it. Okay, something like this. So this is like a canvas. This is like a canvas bag. There's definitely no stretch. Um, we can see what it's made out of. 100% polyester. All right. It's polyester, but okay. It's not like a polo polyester that can be stretchy. This one here. Okay. So for the most part, I would use a tearaway on something like this. Okay. And then here, right, we would center this up. Right. Of course, I would stand above it. Let me see if I could stand right above it. I have the camera right here. All right. See, I would stand like right here. Right. I will stand right over it. Of course, you always want, for the most part, you want your garment to be hooped on four sides, right? Left, right, top, bottom. But that what makes these mighty hoops so cool, right? If you have to, you could probably hoop it partially, right? Let's say like this. Okay, for some reason, if you need it like that, right? Of course, you're always looking for where you're gonna hoop it, right? So like all this stuff, it doesn't really matter, right? If you're doing all that. If we're dealing with the other hoops, right? It could become a problem, right? But we would have added stabilizer, okay? Um, I would have added my tearaway, right? But for the most part, bam. Or we can bring it up if you want to, right? And the cool thing is, if you got a cool thing about magnetic hoops, that if you ever have to make any adjustments, you can make like little tweaks, right? Here it's just hoop perfectly, so we didn't have to make any, right? But for the most part, everything is here. No thinking, right? So that's kind of like my big thing when it comes time for hooping. We want the most minimum thinking possible. The only thinking we want to do is where am I going to center? Okay, that's my thinking. So the visual part is like my thinking. Where do I want it to be centered? Okay, maybe they want it down here, right? Their customers, they have their own location. They might want it right here. Okay, so that's the good thing about the hoops, right? We could go digging and our customers have more of a choice of where to go, right? We can dig deep in here. Now, I'm using this big hoop for this little small design, right? Of course, if I'm doing this small design, I might not use this big hoop right here, right? It's overkill. I'm wasting a lot of stabilizer. Okay, so let's rewind that. Let's put the 5.5. Okay, and if we got a switch, All right, but I'm pushing this down while I'm tightening it. Okay, and everything is straight here, right? That's what we're looking for. Okay, now it's gonna fit. Okay, I was just showing you an example of. Okay, the main thing, you want it to be straight. 5.5. Right, bam. Right, easy day right there. Then we lift off, good to go. Okay, and then what I like about this one, you see this narrow arm right here. Okay, perfect for sleeves. We're dealing with sleeves. Okay, sleeve friendly because you're not so big. All right, let's see. Like if we're comparing it to this right here, right? Like the normal one. You see how, let me see if you could see it on the video. Right? You can see like the difference. It's a little smaller, okay? A little easier to work with. So if we got to use these smaller hoops, okay? All right, cool. All right, let me put another one. Let me do one more before I start going over some stuff. All right, now we talked about the station that I showed you. Right. Actually, let's go back to it. Okay, I was gonna show you this one here. This is the medium. So anybody specializing like in kids polo shirts, kids sweaters, right? There's a smaller one for the kid size, right? You definitely don't want to use like small, anything below a, I would say like a medium, an adult medium. You don't want to use the normal hoop. You might want to start looking into this one here. All right. So that's a big genre there is the kid sizes. Okay. And then, of course, we have the toddlers, right? Toddler size here. All right. So toddlers, kids, and then we got the adults. And then you got the even bigger ones, right? Good for like the oversized shirts and the sweaters. But for the most part, right? All right. But I do want to talk about the jackets real quick. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, uh, they're compatible with these smaller ones. Okay, like they do a lot of the similar things with the smaller ones. But let's bring this guy back out. Right, there's the regular size. All right, got it right here. See, you got a good view right there. All right. Let's see what we got. And then, Karim Blair, what size needle do you use for canvas? For flats, canvas, such as this one, let me show you right here. This is like perfect with my example right now. You see? This is canvas here, right? With all the super thick. Okay. If we're dealing with the regular hoops, all right, I would say, hey, it possibly won't be possible to do it with that. All right. But of course, We got the mighty hoop, so we're good. So this here canvas. Let me see if it shows what it's made of. Shell, 100% cotton. So the shell's cotton. Lining, polyester. All right. So thick. All right. I would still use 75/11 if I was getting any issues. I would switch to an 80, but only worst case scenario. All right. So here, let's take off this here. Okay. Big thing, I would say this upcoming winter / holiday, like I feel it, right? I feel it, especially with the trade shows happening and the sweaters being a big thing. Um, feel sweaters is a big thing. Of course, it's always the either the front chest or the back, right? When we're talking about hooping, right? Number one thing is always finding your center. Okay, same thing. You could always eyeball it, right? We're using certain parts of the jacket or the shirt or the sweater. Let me add some light here. All right, a little brighter. Okay, of course, we want to use certain parts of the jacket to center it, right? Or of course, we could measure it out. We could measure it out, find the center point that way. We could fold it, right? Put that crease. However, your method of finding the center, okay, here, we could just find the center, right? Just by kind of pinpointing it, okay? Main thing to me, that's the easy part. Finding the center is the easy part. I think the challenging part is lining it up because you can find the center point all day, but if you don't line this up, right? If you kind of have it at an angle, especially if you have a long design, right? It might lose its straightness. So, of course, we want to use the hoop and you want to have a good eye. Okay. But for the most part, your eye and your instinct is not going to lie to you. Like you're going to see if it's good or not. All right. But for something like this, of course, we're going to use. Oh, hold on. Let me run down. Oh, it's super bright. Sorry about that. I'm going to run down real quick. Let me get my accessories. Back. Got a lot of my accessories downstairs. All right, of course. All right, we got these for the jackets, for the front chest, for the back side. All right. Bam. So the part that's adjustable here, that's the top part, this part here. Okay. Cool thing about this is that you cannot strike out. Kind of made my lines already here. To get it straight, it's like you can't strike out, right? So sometimes when I'm hooping here, I feel like I'm cheating because everything is straight on a grid. Okay. Um, Let's see. I'm gonna use this hoop here. Let's use this big one, super size, 10 by 19. All right, I think we're still a little bright right here. All right, bang, right here. Actually, we could lift it up a tad bit. All right. I'm not gonna get it perfect, but just so I can move quick. But I'll show you guys how to set this up. All right. Bang. All right. Since this bottom is straight, okay, we know this hoop is straight. So all we have to do is line this up right. All right. So we always start from the bottom and work our way up. All right, just line this up. So half the work, I would say 90% of it is already done, right? Because of course we would cut up here with something this thick and this strong. I would just use tearaway. Okay. If you're gonna wash it, if it's gonna be beat up, then you might want to use cutaway. Okay. See, so you see how it's kind of like extended, right? We got like this extra space right here. It's all good, right? It's all good because this is gonna hold it down. Okay. Just put like an even pull down. Okay. And you can see how I have it zipped up, right? You could unzip it at the very end, but really we're gonna put it in like that. Right? You're not gonna hear the snaps, but you know that it's locked in, right? Like you try to take it off. It takes a good amount of strength to take it off. Right? Good thing is that if you ever have to, you can like make little tiny adjustments. Right? Pull that off right there. Right? We open it up. Of course, we would have the tearaway there. Okay. But we're good right here. Right? Nice and good here. And same thing with the front chest, right? Usually when I'm looking at, before I put it on the machine, I want to make sure like I'm using these lines as guides, right? Like if something's a hair off, I might rehoop it, right? Something like this, since I'm not standing directly in front of it, I'm kind of like at a side, right? This one here might be a little off. Sometimes you could just pull it down a bit and then it'll get fixed. Like right here, I pulled it enough down and now it's straight right here. Okay, sometimes you could kind of get away with a little pull. Okay, but worst case scenario, you kind of strain yourself up and then you hoop it up. All right, cool. So something like this, I would still use 7511 sharp if I see that something like a needle is not strong enough. If it's very dense design, okay, I might go. And then I just grabbed this one right here from downstairs. Okay, you see me use this one 1,000 times. This is the one that I find my center. Okay, very useful right here. And of course, everything that I have that we use in the shop, like things that we actually use day in, day out, I always link it downstairs. Okay. I do have, let's see, I'm sampling sweaters. I'm like in sampling season right now. So let me show you these sweaters that I'm sampling. Okay. I think the brand that I'm going with two brands that I like. Let me zoom in. So you're gonna see a lot of these videos in the upcoming weeks showcasing the Mighty Hoops. All right, let me see. All right, this one, it's actually three brands. Independent, you already know how big that one is. They really impressed me at the impressions. Right, they made a big impression. Um, right, very nice company. They actually have some cool stuff. This one here, classic. Right, we all know Champion. Right, they got some cool stuff. You can see like this V, the V design right here on the collar, which makes it stronger. Right, you don't get like that turkey, that bacon neck here. So it's like you can't really see. It's kind of dark right there. But I'm gonna make videos showcasing these sweaters. Okay, and then this one here, Russell. Actually, this is one that I've seen, but there's another one that I have. But of course, Russell, right? Russell's like the classic one that we're all familiar with. All right, but the Champion one, I'm excited about the Champion one. Champion design, Champion sweaters. It's just a classic. All right. Oh, all right. Cool. So much. The thing with Mighty Hoop, there's so much cool stuff and so much stuff you can do with it that I can easily do like a 4-hour show, right? But what I want to do, I want to I want to do different projects. So some of the stuff that I just showed you today, I'm actually going to do the full run from beginning to end and putting stitches on it. Okay. So I want to do sweaters. I'm going to do the bag. And then I have other stuff that I have that I'm going to test on, but sweaters is my big thing. Okay. I'm predicting right now. So right now we're in April. I'm predicting for the holiday season, right? Sweaters is the big one. And then any manufacturer you suggest where hoodies actually match the sweats. All right. Yeah, that's always a big one, right? Because sometimes they mix the stuff around, right? So they might make a hoodie like in one country and then the pants in another country, and then they're all sending all the stuff. They're combining all the stuff, so a lot of the threads and the inks that they're using to make this thread doesn't match. Because you could be off by like 2% of the color, and you could tell like day and night. So I'm not that deep into where I'm matching hoodies and sweats. Okay, I don't really do sweats. That's kind of like issues that clothing brands, people that are starting up clothing brands, that's the issues that they're having right now. All right. Usually we just do hoodies, sweaters, but we're not going that deep where we're matching sweats. Uh, bam. And then Brenda Wooten. My 15 needle machine is scheduled to come tomorrow. Oh, all right. If that is your first machine, all right, that's some life-changing stuff right there. All right, your life will never be the same again. All right, because I can still remember the days before I was doing embroidery. All right, I had so much free time. All right, now every time, every hour of the day is like accounted for. And then you got the starter kit. Yep. Friday. Yep. Let me know if you got any questions. Okay. Cool thing about Mighty Hoops. Okay. They know their product. Like if you call them up, it's an actual company in the U.S. They're in Germantown, Wisconsin. Okay. Super knowledgeable. Like they know their products. If you ever need to call them, you call them. They'll help you out. Okay. Very useful. Uh, and then okay. Let's talk about the hoops that we're talking about, and then my favorite hoop. I have a favorite hoop, but then I think I have a next one that's coming like in close second. So the question that I posed this day in the beginning. Besides the 5.5 Mighty Hoop, what is your favorite Mighty Hoop? All right, so we got a ton of suggestions that I think they're cool. All right, looking at it, it looks like the 8x13 is just killing it. All right, Jose, Barb, Marta, Catskills, Daisy, they're all saying the 8x13. Sylvia, all right, Shugs, she put 8x9. 8x9. All right. I think that was the first 8x9 right there. I like the 8x9. That was cool. 8x13. Yep. Self-made 8x13. TMG. Yeah. Okay. See, TMG put my last best one. The 10x10 used to be my best one. 7.25 is a good one. And 9.6. Juva 8x13. Oh, that 8x13 is a. So 8x13 used to be my best. It's still kind of like my best one besides the 5.5. All right. Oh, yeah, Aldell, 8x13. All right. Jan put the 7.25. Yeah, so that one, let me see. So let me show you. I think the reason why, I actually have two. You see that? These are my two 8x13s right here. Oh, man. Get a hold of that. These two are the 8x13s. All my favorite ones, of course. I got two of those. Reason why this one's so popular, right? Because of the bam front chest, right? You're not using too much stabilizer, and it's like at a good distance right here, right? This one's perfect for sweaters, shirts, okay? But my new one, I'm actually making a video on it. Give me one sec. Where did I put it? Oh, okay. Look out for this video coming up. I just got this one when I went to the impression show. So it is it's half of that. Okay, half of the 8x13. This is 4.25 by 13. All right, this is gonna be my main one for this upcoming holidays. All right, so if you see, we can compare it. All right, so this one's gonna be good for just the text, because right now that straight text across the chest on the sweater, that's like the big one right now. But you can see how this one. All right, so I'm excited for this video. It's actually like it's in the works for like 2 weeks already. All right, so look out for that one. And then let me see, a lot of good information. I do appreciate everybody. And then here, mechanically inclined sprinkler. Just curious how much shipping usually for hoops. So as long as you use my promo code Romero, it's free. Shipping is free. Okay, so that's a good deal right there. I know it depends on items, so don't even worry about the items. Don't worry about the weight. Okay, do they ever offer shipping? All right, so yes, and then I do appreciate you, Barb, looking out. Use Romero's code. Um, I have difficulties in cutting shoulder size. I don't know. I have difficulty in cutting shoulder size. Yeah, I'm not understanding the question 100%. I'm just looking at, because I threw everything out. Like if you see my floor right now, it's a complete mess, all right? Because there was a couple stuff I want to show you. But some stuff I'm just going to show you on the video that I'm going to shoot, because there's a lot of details in some of this stuff. And then how long is your free shipping? Yeah, it's good. It's good. You're good. All right. It's not going to expire anytime soon. Okay. Do you use water soluble? I used water soluble one time and I hated it. I hated the cleanup. I was like, nope. I'll rather add if the threads are sinking too much, I'll rather adjust the underlay um, and make the design a little bit, I would sacrifice a little bit more stitches than to have to use water soluble, right? Or sometimes I would put a knockdown stitch. If it's very fluffy, like on beanies, I usually put a knockdown stitch. And then, yeah, I did ask the question, what do you use for towels? Tearaway? Yeah, tearaway is always a big one. And then barb, tearaway. Yep, okay. So we're all on the same page. Uh, and then Brian S. Thank you. I'm truly doing something very similar. This is going to help me. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. If you're ever doing a project and you're kind of iffy about something, you can ask me through YouTube, like questions. Sometimes I try to turn questions into videos. All right. Today, this was episode 16. So let me see my calendar right here. We're at episode 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 more shows left. Okay, so we're doing it every Monday, all the way to half of the year, because then the second half of the year, all right, I'm going straight business mode. Okay, I'm going into like Rain Man type of mode. Okay, uh, so I'm not gonna have time to put together shows every week, right? Um, but these last 10, if you have any suggestions, all right, for what topics, all right. Um, but of course, always shooting videos. Okay. Um, I get my Mighty Hoop station tomorrow. Ape-ish clothing. All right. It's game changer right there. Okay. Your Mighty Hoop station, that's gonna be a game changer. Oh man. Okay. Yep. Brenda, my first multi-needle. Yeah, I would say your first couple months, just get to know your machine. Okay, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a crazy horse. All right, you're gonna have to tame it. All right, because in the beginning it's all over the place. Just take your time. Okay, take your time. Um, Crafty Puerto Rican 8x13. Yeah, yeah. And then this, yeah, the 4.5, the one that I just showed you. This one's gonna be good for the back of names, right? But my main thing, all right. Look out for videos on that. All right, I'm gonna go hard. I'm sampling sweaters, and when I go on sample mode, it's all about use and abuse these sweaters. Like throw them in the washer, throw them all over the place, put certain designs on them. Okay, check the sleeves, check the fronts. Okay, would would you like a copy of my machine's manual? It's a 350 pages as a PDF file. All right. Um, yeah, I got a ton of manuals saved on my hard drive. I don't know if I have your specific brand, but I have a ton. You could email it to me. Okay, I probably have it because I study other machines manuals also. All right, so Barb, you have the 4.25 by 13. I use it a lot. All right. Yeah, I'm excited to do a lot of work on that. Uh, Let me see if I understand this question. Daryl, how you doing? What do you use? The 13 5.254. Oh, the 4.25. What do you use the for? That's going to be front chest sweaters. All right. And then Catskill, appreciate that support. Yeah, you could always hit that like. Takes you like half a second to hit like, let YouTube know. I always forget to mention to hit like, but you know, I do appreciate everybody that hits it. All right. Um, even though this information is for free, right? Just know that I learn a lot by teaching, by presenting information, and I do appreciate the support, right, in the chat and in the replays. Okay, um, I'll be doing embroidery whether I'm going live or not. I'll be doing this no matter what. All right, so um, I do appreciate that, Catskills. All right. So today's video is gonna kind of like um, cluster out. Yes, last week I kind of used that word cluster, but this week's video is gonna cluster out because here I'm gonna start using some of the hoops that I haven't used in a while, and then my new hoop, my new favorite hoop. Right. This one's like super awesome. All right. My new testing out sweaters. Okay. So I kind of showed you the sweaters that I'm working with. Um, I'm leaning towards the champion one just because champion people are familiar with champion. Um, this specific one they carry a good amount of inventory on it, and the price is real good, right? And I'm just a fan of champion, like from back in the days. Okay, and then how do you like your new setup? I think we're getting there, right? Um, we have everything the way we want it right now, but like how I said earlier, I'm about to redo my shop. I'm about to do a lot of the storage. Okay, hopefully I could record it. I know a lot of times like storage wise, I don't like to shoot it because I'm like on think mode, right? And I'm doing like speed, 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 trying to get everything. And sometimes when you're recording stuff, kind of slows you down. But hopefully I could show you guys like my once I start once I start working on my new setup. So I'm gonna have a new setup. Like I have my new setup, but I'm gonna have a new where I actually focus on the storage of my stuff. And I want it to be portable, so if I ever have to move, I could grab that stuff and move it anywhere I have to go. So I don't want it to be too locked down where, everything is like sealed shut onto the walls and everything. Uh, and then Brian S. Do you use quick hoops? These are called mighty hoops from Hoopmaster. Mighty hoops. Mighty hoops. And then I do have a video where I embroider on a sleeve. I'm gonna make more. All right, I'm gonna make more, especially with these sweaters that I got. All right. And I appreciate that, Delmar. Do appreciate that. No, not those. Let me see what you're talking about. Let me pull up that question again. Do you use quick hoops or fast hoops, whatever they are called? No, I only use mighty hoops, and I use Gen 2s for the hats. I think you're talking about the 8-in-1s, if I'm not mistaken. 8-in-1s, which I have them, but I don't use them. All right, cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, hanging out today. I had a great time kind of showing you some of the stuff that I work with, making hooping, right? When we're talking about hooping, we want to be at an advantage, not only to our competition, because we're not really worried about our competition, right? We want to be at an advantage because we are always versus time. Okay, we're always competing with time, and we're always competing with ourselves. And the best way to compete with time is to be more efficient, doing things on automatic mode, the less thinking, okay? The less we have to think about the repetition stuff, the more we can think about the more of the art side, the more of the business side, okay? But the repetition side, we want to be like on autopilot when it comes time for that, all right? Look out for more Mighty Hoop videos coming soon. If you have any questions, anything you want me to kind of zone in and really get into the details about it, let me know in the comments. All right. Um, Other than that, peace out, everybody. See you next Monday. Peace.